A life of endless struggle, persecution laced with detention and even deprivation best described a person.
Well, I'm Okei-Odumakin, President Campaign for Democracy, President Women Arise, the Chairman of Task Force Season Forum, the Executive Director of Institute of Human Rights and Democratic Studies, the convener of Rethink Nigeria.
Born on the 4th of July 1966 in the northern Nigerian city of Zaria, Kaduna State, she started her early education at St. Barnabas Primary School, also in Ilorin, where she obtained the first leaving school certificate. She thereafter enrolled at the famous Queen Elizabeth School for secondary education and bagged the West Africa School certificate in flying colors. She later gained admission to the University of Ilorin and left in 1987 with the Bachelor of Arts in English Education. Her passion for knowledge saw her return to the school for a master's degree in education with interest in guidance and counseling. She capped it with a doctorate degree in history and policy of education in 1996.
Came down to University of Ilorin, 1988-89 session. In 1989 August, Committee for Defense of Human Rights came into existence. Before then, 1986, I saw the phone number of Dr. Bekor Kuti. I called him up. He then asked me to come over to Lagos. So when I got to Lagos, 1986, he then was to go and see Chief Gandhi for me. And he had to call Chief to find out if he could come with me. So he said, fine. So we got to his chambers together. Getting there, Chief welcomed us and we discussed and a lot of the activities that we were doing. He also talked about the National Conscience Party, which later on I became coordinator in Ilorin.
Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka, speaking on her consistency and unwavering determination for the survival of democracy in Nigeria, described her as a tireless fighter whose frail bearing bellies an inner strength and resilience of purpose.
To be able to identify the cause worth celebrating, especially when one can identify humanity together with that cause, so that the cause is not abstract, it's not merely theorizing. We actually see put into practice by certain individuals, and it's important that we associate.
The eminent playwright further eulogized her as a veteran of affirmative marches, crude arrests and detentions, baton charges and tear gas who have given boost to the struggle for justice and human dignity, as well as an inspiration of men and women, young and old.
Because one looks at individuals like Okei-Odumakin, who've gone through so much and who have remained faithful to the cause. I've had the dubious pleasure of sharing tear gas with her, and I look forward with even greater pleasure to sharing achievements, the sense of achievement, further achievement, actually enduring achievements with her.
Paying tribute to Dr. Okei-Odumakin on her 45th birthday, former American ambassador to Nigeria, Walter Carrington, refers to her as the dynamo of the human rights struggle. Obviously unknown to her, her pathway to activism was cut early in life. Dr. Okei-Odumakin had quietly watched her parents settle communal disputes and give succor to women battered by their husbands as well as those in need. The thought of giving the seminary a shot and completely dedicating her life to the service of God became an attraction for her, but her father stood this ground and blatantly refused her.
Because my parents were staunch Catholics, honestly, I wanted to be a nun. That was what I had hoped for all my life. My middle younger brother again told me that the best thing for me to do again was for me to be in London immediately after my secondary education. But then I was just 14, still very young. My father was in the UK, so my mom had to tell my dad. At the end, my dad called me and he threatened to disown me. I was just too young. How can I be disowned by my dad? Not only that, he went further to say he will publish my obituary by the time he comes back.
Activism for Dr. Okei-Odumakin began in 1985 when she joined the Kwara State branch of Women in Nigeria and served as secretary between 1988 and 1991. She was coordinator of the organization between 1991 and 1996. Within the same period, she also served as chairperson of the Kwara State wing of the Committee for the Defense of Human Rights from 1990 to 1996.
August 1985, the position of Secretary Women in Nigeria, Kwara State branch, was vacant. In those days, when you have manifesto nights, it's a very serious thing. You have to make use of your intellect. Apart from that, you have to demonstrate that you understand what the struggle is all about. I read some books on Mandela, Karl Marx, and several others. At the end of the manifesto, now we were three. The first person spoke, I was the second. The students there gave me standing ovation. The first person stepped down. The third person never bothered. And that was how I became the secretary, Women in Nigeria, Kwara State branch, August 1985.
Her emergence on the scene coincided with a period of Ibrahim Babangida dictatorship, which was then clamping down on opposition voices. She immediately became a target of the administration and was arrested and detained for not less than 17 times at different locations across the country.
First, baptism I had in this struggle in terms of arrest and detention was in 1999 when we were to organize some programs. In fact, Chibola Ige, was to come and deliver a lecture for us at the level of Committee for Defense of Human Rights. So in the process, while I was moving, the security agents, I didn't know they were around and they knew who I was. They came, wanted to arrest me. They were in plain clothes. I didn't know they were SSS. I resisted. And another interesting thing was that I learned martial arts. So when I resisted and I saw these people who wanted to forcefully take me, I fought. But at the end, they bundled me and they put me in their boot. And they took me to SSS. During the IBB's time, because of transition with that end, we were in Lagos for a meeting. I told the Campaign for Democracy people there, including Dr. Beckham, that if I'm in Lagos, I'll paste my own poster at Dodon Barracks. But a lot of them felt that I should go back to my state, Kwara State. And I think that Sago Barra and some people went, they were caught. I was at the police headquarters, to paste my own poster. And around 1 a.m., so in the process of pasting in IBB Go now, somebody came, he was discussing with another person. So the person came and I could perceive stale drink. So he was drunk. So I had to lie still. And then they had to urinate all over my face, everywhere. At the end, he wanted to move, but because he was tipsy, he stepped on my thigh a bit. And they shouted, he said, yeah, bring touch. I've seen a big snake. So I was still. I didn't know how to move. So at the end, he brought touch, like when he flashed, the person saw somebody lying on the floor. Flashed, saw another poster. I go, said, at the police headquarters, picked me up, first beat me to stupor and then poured the starch on me. You know how dry fish is. When the thing got dried on me, although I didn't even know I passed out, I didn't know how I was taken in. I was there for 3 days, and that was when I was eventually detained. I think it was the 3rd day I got water, to clean my face. I had bled from my nose, my mouth, everywhere. Actually, they wanted to shoot me because the person who brought the torchlight was telling, why are you wasting? Kill this thing that has the effrontery to come and paste something at the police headquarters. But the people I had as backup, I had to scream, "Don't kill her, we've seen you." And the shots fired some shots into the air, very dark place. So those people escaped. They told me they were taking me to Alagmo. We left Ilorin around 4 p.m. The driver was driving recklessly, and I told him if anything happens, all of us would die. But you know, because I was recovering from typhoid, I was so pressed, and I wanted to. I just wanted to go to the toilet, and I kept doing it. They were just shouting, "Do it in the vehicle, do it in the..." It was just the driver of that station wagon. They had another backup that was very reasonable and said, "Oga, if you should do it in this vehicle, all of us can stay. Let's stop, let's stop." So all of a sudden, I just screamed, so the driver had to stop. So when he stopped, I jumped down. That was before after we passed the Bumotion. So I just jumped, entered the bush path that was there. About 4 of them followed me. "You want to escape? You want to put us in trouble?" You know, I don't know if they really account for their bullets. I just had gunshot because I was running to get to where. So immediately I got there, I just quickly like this, I just pulled, and because I was in trousers, so it was after I felt a bit relieved. I saw 4 of them standing, covered their hands with their nostrils. I was in their middle. 4 of them backed me. So I got in, I saw somebody ganifying me. Joe said, "Joe, what's wrong with you?" So somebody said, "Chief, you cannot talk to her." I said, "I cannot do what? You are taking me for interrogation. If this girl is not taken care of medically, I will never cooperate with you." Then I saw one young man, that one was just staring at me. So the chief said, "Yinka, this is Joe." So he looked and said, "Joe, the one I read of in papers, is that one not a man?" So chief said, so immediately they just pulled me and then took me. So I was in the cell upstairs. Chief Ganifa and me, Yinka, some of them were downstairs. And the cell there, we were about 41, very small room, no ventilation, place stinks. One of the series of protests that we had, I was kicked from the back by a mobile police, and I fell inside the gutter around that Offa Road area. So when I fell, I was putting on a skirt and a blouse, and it was after that I swore in my life that I would never in my life put on a skirt. I was kicked and I fell inside the gutter. My skirt was torn. I was in one of the protests, July 7, 1994, where more than 200 were shot, were around the Kuruduru and everything. I was shot on my right leg. Because of the fact that some of us were declared wanted, and how the whole thing, was done, I escaped. And then I was in hiding at Oyibo area. Somebody was called in and he removed the bullet locally, gave me some leaves, to treat it. So I was there. The 3rd day, the security agents came, arrested me, and took me to Kirikiri.
The experience did not dampen her spirit as she fought on and became the Assistant General Secretary of the late Dr. Beko Ransom Kuti-led Campaign for Democracy in 1994 at the behest of the battle against the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election, adjudged the fairest and freest ever in Nigeria's history.
When I was arrested and I was taken to Alagbo, where I saw Chief Ganifa me, I also met a comrade of us there in Okei-Odumakin, who I call comrade. And he was released before. Okay, we came at different. He was arrested and detained. My own was a different detention. So when he was released, he was still coming there, to check me. Although when I got out, I never took anything serious about the whole thing. He got out of detention, and he would come and see me, and I said, "Comrade, why are you here?" So when we got out, we continued. We beat tear gas together. One day, I was just, the organization will have lots and lots of meals. One day, we were to discuss state of the nation and put up a press release. We were 4: Solomon, himself, myself, and Godwin. And he then said, we're to discuss the state of the nation. Please, I want us to discuss the state of our union. I want to marry this guy. That was what he told me for the first time. And she told me that she will not marry until there's democracy. Give us 5 minutes. Let us debate why she thinks she wants to remain single. And let me also tell her why I think marriage is necessary. So I was told to start first. So he started screaming. I was telling her, I don't want distraction. I'm married to struggle, everything. At the end, he also gave his own points and said, well, I want to marry her. I will not be a distraction. I will not. At the end, those who scored it scored him the highest. And that was how, although there was really not a serious thing, all those times we were always, going from one rally to the other. And even when we had our wedding, 1997, March 12th, we were to have a press conference. And then we had a series of meetings in Barbara Madison's office. So that March 12th, woke up, we were ready to go to our papa. And I was having that funny feeling, what is wrong? And the pain just kept coming. So we just drove straight to the hospital. Let me just tell the doctor. What is this? The doctor said, it's labor sign. I said, doctor, stop this sign. I have a press conference and I have to be there. Whatever sign, you have to stop. So he told me the dangers if you are injected. No. He said it's advanced labor already. Well, at 5 minutes to 9, August 12th, 1998, the baby just came. As soon as the baby came, I remember that press conference was 11. I was lucky my mother was in Lagos, so my mom came to the hospital. So as soon as the baby came, the baby sneezed, cleaned her. I went there, I saw my mom, I saw the baby. I left for papa for the press conference. And because I didn't put on much weight, my tummy, I just got in, Paradison and some of them were there, I just got in. Comrade just saw me and looked at me, it's not the person that was supposed to. He looked at me, didn't say anything. I sat down, we had the press conference. After the press conference, I greeted Paradison, I just left, came back to the hospital. And I got to the hospital, my mom said, where did you go? What happened? I just said, doctor, there's nothing wrong with me. Discharge me.
She later rose to the position of General Secretary of the organization and held on to the seat for a record 10 years from March 1996 to July 2006, when she was elected the president at the historic Akure Convention in Ondo State, southwest Nigeria. And in between the period, she held forth as the executive director of the Institute of Human Rights and Democratic Studies, president of Women Arise for Change Initiative, chairman task force of the Citizen Forum, and spokesperson, Coalition of Civil Society Organizations, and founding member, Save Nigeria Group. For all our efforts till date in the struggle for a better and just society, Dr. Okei-Odumakin has also been justly honored with several national and international awards. From most world body, the United Nations bestowed on her the award of the Hero of Democracy and Good Governance in Nigeria, while Development Issues Initiative Association honored her for her contributions to national development and human rights. Next in the array of her many awards is the Defender of the Oppressed by Human Rights Now. This was closely followed by the Defender of Women's Rights in commemoration of the anniversary of the 1929 Aba Women Riot. Dr. Okei-Odumakin has since till date continues to bag awards, which in the estimation of the majority remain countless. Despite all her achievements, Dr. Okei-Odumakin's heart of steel failed her at the passage of two Nigeria's illustrious sons closest to her heart, Dr. Beko Ransom Kuti and Chief Gani Fawemi, both giants of human rights activism in their lifetimes. Dr. Okei-Odumakin's contributions to the development of a just and equitable society also gained her recognition beyond the shores of Nigeria and cut across the African continent and away from it. She was invited in 2008 by the United States Department of State as a leader from Nigeria to join other leaders participating in the International Visitors Leadership Program. where she was authorized and commissioned as an ambassador of goodwill to the people of nations beyond the borders of the United States. And for this woman of iron and steel, who is transversing a largely male-dominated arena, the battle to emancipate and sanitize the Nigerian society of corruption and other social ills may have just begun.
My best moments, the ones I refer to as my birthday, is when I'm going for rally. In those days, going for rally means you have to be armed with kerosene and handkerchief that I used to wipe your face. I'll take bottled water, pour the contents. So when we are tear gas, I used to wipe my face. Those are the times I'm in frenzy. Those are my happiest. I might not eat. The books that I first read the story of Reverend Martin Luther, Mandela, Karl Marx. Most of these books that I read, Rosa Parks, affected my life positively. But those I saw physically, like meeting the likes of Bekor and Sonkuti, meeting Gane Fahimi, a great organizer, the likes of our own Professor Wole Soyinka, a person that has positively affected my life. Wole Soyinka, when he says yes, I'll be at a rally, it's yes, it's yes. Tunji Breto too, in those days, when we have rallies, when we have programs, you know that the Tunji Breto will be there and he'll be ready to face a mountain. I can never ever forget a Pastor Tunde Bakari, who every time when I want to talk, I refer to him as my leader, and there's a special way we salute each other. What would we say about Ambassador Walter Carrington? That when I was to be arrested, I was at the embassy to see him. It was glaring I was to be arrested. He made sure that I did not step out. Comrade Gani Adams is one of the person that, he went through the hierarchy and eventually became one of the consistent people that we also have in the pro-democracy fold. Femi Falana is also one of those I can never forget. Shortly while I started the struggle in 1985, I said it that I was ready to die, and then my will was prepared. I only have books and mattress. And I said, if I die, take my mattress to the motherless home, give my books to them at the University of Ilorin Library.
The kind of person that you are is really what we need in Nigeria. And you're such a wonderful example to all the people here. So we're so grateful for your life, for your beautiful, noble, intelligent spirit. And we pray that more Nigerians can stand in the way you stood for change, for democracy, and for justice.
I truly appreciate your sacrifice, just as she appreciated the sacrifice of our heroes past. And we trust a generation will arise that will build on the sacrifices of leaders in the past who truly love this nation and will not let this nation go down the drain. With that, with such commitment, we believe Nigeria will flourish again and we must rise up and save the nation and change the nation and make the nation great. One more time, Dr. Joe, from the depth of my heart and that of my mind, many happy returns of you.
In March 2013, Dr. Joe Okei-Odumakin was among recipients of the International Women of Courage Awards. At the Department of Status in the United States of America, she was received by program officers Angela and Christopher. The officers, alongside her intimate, Ashley, ushered her to Pittsburgh, where the award recipients were officially welcomed. At the University of Pittsburgh Law School, the International Women of Courage Award recipients were received by the law school professors, Professor Deborah Brick, Professor Vivian Coram, and Professor Ronald Brandt. Dean William Carter Jr. of the University of Pittsburgh Law School also gave special recognition to Dr. Joe Odumakin. The tour also included a dinner reception at the American National Press Club, where the Women of International Understanding AWIU held a special dinner award. While making her remarks at the dinner, participants were moved to tears as Dr. Odumakin relayed her Nigerian experience of the struggle for human rights observation. The president and vice at the Chatham University in Pittsburgh, specially received Dr. Odumakin alongside co-recipients of Women of Courage Awards from Somalia and Afghanistan, Fatun Adan and Malalai Bahadure, respectively. Traveling, they say, is part of education. Dr. Odumakin's free time at the International Women of Courage Awards event was deployed into exploration of the San Francisco Bay Cruise. A luncheon at the Meridian International Center, Washington, for the honor recipients was opened by former governor of Michigan State, James Blanchard. The award presentation was at the United States Department of State.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the First Lady of the United States, Michelle Obama, the Secretary of State, John Kerry, Mrs. Teresa Heinz Kerry, and Undersecretary of State, Wendy Sherman, accompanied by the 2013 International Women of Courage Award recipients.
Welcome to the U.S. Department of State for the 7th annual celebration of the Secretary of State's International Women of Courage Awards.
When these women witnessed horrific crimes or the disregard for basic human rights, they spoke up, risking everything they had to see that justice was done. When they saw their communities or their countries were ignoring issues like sexual violence or women's rights, they gave those issues a face and a voice. And with every act of strength and defiance, with every blog post, with every community meeting, these women have inspired millions to stand with them and find their own voices and work together to achieve real and lasting change. And that is truly the power of the International Women of Courage Award. That this is not simply an honor bestowed upon a few, but a call for all of us to open our eyes to the injustices around us and to ask ourselves just what kind of courage we've got inside our own hearts.
During the past 20 years in Nigeria, Dr. Josephine Odumakin has handled more than 2,000 cases of government security agencies violating women's rights. These cases include everything from negligence to assault and killings. As the president of the Campaign for Democracy, she has personally led almost every protest, march, lecture, and workshop to encourage the rule of law and democracy in Nigeria. She has been arrested or detained 17 times, but she has never stopped crusading for the rights of the Nigerian people. For exceptional courage, strength, and leadership, in tirelessly advocating for human rights, social justice, and women's equality and advancement in Nigeria, Dr. Josephine Odumakin is a woman of courage.
Campaign for Democracy was formed in 1991 as a result of military dictatorship in Nigeria. Military rule became an aberration, and when there's military incursion, there'll be suspension of the constitution. So 10 years ago, Women Arise for Change initiative was formed. The country where I come from, women mainly speak the same language, that is silence. So Women Arise was formed to break the culture of silence. I'm ready, if need be, to pay with my life, because honestly, a lot have been done in terms of investment, and with this award, it is a wake-up call. So I want women to realize that a just world is a free world, and that we are the only ones who can put our issues on the front burner. And more than ever, I will rededicate my life to the struggle in the emancipation of women, not only in Nigeria, but the whole of Africa.
And as the popular saying goes,
the struggle continues.